There we go. So let's share our strategies. 3.12 minus 1.78. Let's go with Aaliyah. Come on up. And remember, for all of you watching, it's not you're not evaluating her. You're asking questions to understand and clarify certain things that you may not understand. You have to say it loud and clear so the class can hear you and the camera can.
Okay, so we just basically line them up. Whoops. That's supposed to be 8. And then we subtracted it, so that would become 0, 4, 3, and then 1. And then we got 1.34.
Okay, that's one way. Is there another way to do this for the ones maybe subtracting?
So first we converted 3.12 to show another way. 3. So which equaled 312 over 100, which is equal to 3 whole 12 over 100. And then 1.78 is 1 whole 78 over 100. And if we put this into improper fraction, it would be 178 over 100. So we got 312 and over 100. Subtract 178 over 100 equal to 134 over 100, which is equal in decimal it would be 1.34.
An interesting approach, to say the least. I think you did an extra step there, but that's entirely up to you. I'm going to see if we can figure out another way to attack this one, because I believe there's an easier way to do this. Did anyone have a different strategy? Taha, come on.
So what we did, we did reverse adding. So we started from 1.78. So then we try to get to the nearest whole number. So we added 0.12 and 22, and then we got 2. Then we went from 2, and we wanted to go to the next number. So we added 1 to go to 3. And then since the number is 312, we did 3 plus 0.12, and then we took these numbers and then we added them together, so which was 0.22 and plus 0.12 plus 1, and then what we got was 1.34.
I think you guys know what I'm a fan of. I really like number 3. The reverse adding method is always a way to avoid that pesky borrowing like we did here. Number 1 is a great strategy, but some students get confused with the borrowing method. So this is a great way for those of you who get confused with this. Say, hey, you know what? Let me stick to what I know. I know adding. Let's turn this into an adding question. Similar to each other. So I want to look at number 2 for a second. And I see that Ali had a good idea starting here. He did 3, and let me zoom in here. This is going to be the focal point. Oh no, you can't zoom in while you're recording. Uh-oh. We gotta write a letter to them saying you should be able to zoom in while you're recording. I don't want to hold the paper up. But anyways, let's pay attention to 3 and 12 over 100. There was a good point mentioned that you cannot take away 78 from 12. It's just not possible. Is there another way to rewrite this mixed number to make it doable to subtract? Because right now, this right here, it's saying 12 minus 78. Now, we're not doing integers. These are fractions. What can we change to make that look a little bit better? Taha?
3.12 subtract 1.78.
Okay. But keep in mind that this group is trying to work on just the decimals. And I understand their strategy. They do not want to handle the whole numbers yet. But this guy's going to need a little help. Hussein,
You have to switch the numbers, put 12 at the end, 78 at the front.
is that going to give you the same answer though?
No.
It will not give you the same answer. So keep in mind, this guy right now, 3 and 12 hundredths. Is there another way that we can represent 3 and 12 hundredths that is absolutely identical to it? Tahir. You could. This is the improper fraction right here. But there's another way to do this. Taha. That's what he said, improper fraction. Now, wouldn't it just be nice if this number was 112 minus 178? Can that number be 112 minus 78? Is it possible, Wajid?
Yeah, it's possible.
So then, if this number is 112, what has happened to the other number? What has that turned into? Right there, you have it right there. Just say it out loud.
2 holes, 112.
So this has now turned to 2 and 112 over 100 minus 1 and 78 over 100. So now the whole numbers, this number's smaller, this is good news. 2 minus 1 is 1. So now you've basically made this 112 minus 78. And then whatever strategy you use to figure it out, which we went over a couple which are effective, your answer is 34, which means 34 over 100, in decimals 1.34. Because we've mentioned that 3 decimal 12, and this is part of our earlier conversation, equals 3 and 12 hundredths. It also equals 2 and 112 hundredths. Sorry. It also equals 1 and how many hundredths? Well, 212. It also equals 312 over 100, doesn't it? Isn't 312, or sorry, 3 decimal 12, doesn't it equal 31 tenths and 2 hundredths? This is all congruent. These are all the same. All of them. All these here are the same. It's like saying 31, the number 31 is 3 tens, 1 1. It's like saying it's 2 tens, and how many ones? 11 ones. It's like saying it's 110 and how many ones? Ethan? 21 ones. It's also saying 31 ones. No tens. This is all the same. All of it. Nothing is different. These numbers are all the same. And you will see that when you're subtracting that much, you could just take 1 away. This is why we had you write this in so many different ways today, so you could see the differences. Taha,
I have a question.
go for it.
It says 112 and then you did error and you did 2 112 over 100. I don't understand.
Because 112 is how many hundredths? 112 hundredths.
Yeah, 100.
This is basically 112 is 1.12. And you also have 2 plus 1.12 is 3.12. I basically broke down 3.12 into 2 plus 1.12. I can also break it down, 3.12, I can also break it down into 1 plus 2 decimal 12. It's just a strategy I've chosen to chunk it. It needed 100. It's the same thing as borrowing. Alex.
So when you did 2 whole, 112 over 100, isn't it like mixed fractions and improper fractions?
Sounds like it, doesn't it? It's the same thing. They represent the same number. Okay? It's just a variety of ways. And when you are subtracting, You know, because you're going to get numbers that look like this. And the grade 7s have had these numbers. When you get numbers that look like this, you're going to get 6 1/8 minus 4 3/4. Well, that gets tricky to figure out because 3/4 is bigger than 1/8. So that's why you come up with the common denominator. That's why you need to learn how to play with the numbers. But ultimately, the easiest way to do all this is reverse adding. Go backwards and add it. Ultimately, it is the easiest way to do it. I believe it'll give you the fewest errors. Ali, last point.
So on the top, what you did was that 100 is equal 100 is equal to 1 whole, right? So you and it was 3 wholes before, right?
Mhm.
So basically, you just subtracted 300, which is 3 wholes, from 100 and added it to 12. So it could be 2 whole of 112 over 100.
You are absolutely right. That's pretty much what I did. I took a couple extra steps, but my couple extra steps meant that because as Hussein said, his group 3.12 minus 1.78, it's very easy for someone to say this is 6, this is 6, this is 2 or 1 or whatever. This here is a very common mistake for students who don't understand borrowing. So this is the way around it, all these different strategies. That's why I say if you're struggling with borrowing, try something else.